had in the last session. Yeah, say hi. Welcome back, everyone. So thanks for joining. Let me go through what we discussed in the last session. Okay. Just- we are discussing Docker, and in the Docker, we were trying to set up an application, and we did try setting up application manually. Okay, with the Docker. Okay, let me show you. Okay, cd/01. And yeah, we have a repo called Docker demo. So let me delete the repo. And if I go to my GitHub, then, yeah, let me log in once. Yeah, so yeah, I'll try to restrict with the time. We'll see. Okay, so let me clone the repo. Okay, and I can open the same thing in VS Code just for an idea. Okay. So to whoever was not present in earlier session, so what we try to do is we try to set up an application just by ourselves. Like we took help of GPT to compose the code. So we have three parts where uh, yeah, we have front-end, backend, and database. Okay. So how does that work? Is like yeah. So this is the MERN application. So what we did, so we have set up a front end and the backend and the DB. So DB is the MongoDB application, and the backend, I think it's the Node.js, and front end is the Nginx with HTML. Okay, so the order to spin up the things is like this. Okay, so I'll go to MERN Docker, and we have a backend, and somewhere there should be DB also. Yeah, so this is the DB. If you can, yeah. So this is the DB. So how do we set up? We try to set it up with the commands. Okay. Uh, Let me see. I think I wrote it down in my README pad. Okay. So we need to have a Docker installed, and this is the structure. I think the format went bit off. And what we are doing is, first step, we gonna create a MERN network. Okay, so we will check Docker network ls. Okay, let me remove the MERN. Okay, and Docker images. Uh, yeah, let me clean up it. Per image. Mhm. Yeah, Docker image RM. I'm gonna clean up the images again one more time. Yeah. 6. And Docker storage also. So we'll clean up MongoDB and yes, sir. So I'll set it up from freshly. So the first step, what I'm creating is I'm creating a MERN network. This is the first step. And the second step is, yeah, I'm creating a volume for MongoDB and I'm spinning up the database. Okay. So here, what happens is it will just create the database, but it will not create any tables and all inside. Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me, guys, by the way?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so we are trying to set up everything in the MERN network, and this is the type of network is the bridge. And we have we can do one thing. So either we can create a bridge network or we can attach to the host network itself. Okay. So that's a different thing. And we have some option called network none. Okay. So right now we are using bridge network. If we attach to host, it will share the ports with the host and all. Okay. And yeah, we will check if it is created. Yeah. No, just a second, please. Yeah, so we have the database created. So how we can verify if it is created? We can do one thing. We can check the logs. That's one way. Okay. And we see the database. So it's exposing on port 27017. This is the MongoDB port. Okay. So how do we check the port from inside is like telnet, or we can do netstat or anything. We can check for netstat simply. Sudo netstat pt grepper 27017. Yeah. So we have this one listening here. So the first step, we spin up the DB. The second step, we are spinning up the backend. Okay. So for backend, cd backend. So we'll spin up the backend in the same network. So we'll build a image here. The reason we didn't build image for MERN is it's already, we are using the globally available MERN image. Okay. So we are not spinning up a new image. For the backend, we are spinning up with certain settings here. So, so if you see here, inside the backend, we have a Docker and we have the app related code here. Okay. So we are copying the package.json and then we are spinning up the npm here. And coming back, yeah, we can, meanwhile, we can build for front end also. Yeah, I think front end, yeah, it's using the Nginx image. Okay. Yeah, so we are using the Nginx image and we are copying the HTML file and we are spinning up the custom Nginx, which we built. Okay. And if you see, the front end is running in port 80. Okay. Back end is running port 27017. The DB is running in 27017 port. Okay. The backend, I think it's port 3000 or something. So let me run the backend. So here, if you see the settings, so we are providing Docker run -d as daemon mode and the network as in MERN network. And we are exposing the port 5000. And here we are also passing the URL of the database, as in the database user ID password, if it is applicable, or the host name and the port number. Okay. So copying it. Logs refer backend, and we can check the logs how it is working. Yeah, it's saying MongoDB connected, backend is running in port 5000. Okay, so to backend, if it is working or not, what we can do, either we can do a curl call or we can hit a Postman API call. Okay, yeah, let's do spin up the front end also at a single time and we can test it. 1 second. So let's visit the port 174, port 80. Okay, this is not it. Let me check. Okay, sorry. It's port 3000. That's where I spinned it up. I'm supposed to do the port forwarding. For now, I am using the port 3. So this is my web application. And what it exactly is doing is it's taking the inputs, okay, and mobile number. Yeah, it doesn't have any validations there. It's supposed to show the list. Let's do the reload. Yeah. So it doesn't have any user filtration validation, as in whether the user, which kind of email ID he's entering, or whether the mobile number has 10 digits or 9 digits and all. All those checks are not there. And yeah, we'll try to do the similar thing. Let's check the, yeah, let's check this one. Yeah, 5000. Okay. Yeah. So this is the API call. It's going for as in this is 204. This is the post call. Okay. And this is also 304. In the post call, they're giving the payload. As in the request payload, they're giving like email ID and password fields. Okay. So can just a second. Headers. Okay. Let's check email mobile. Yeah, don't need body. 3000 slash users. Okay, I'll try to figure out the what is the proper API call and we'll update it here. So this is what we did with without Docker Compose. This is how we spin up like the Docker networks and the Docker like command containers and all. Okay, so we will clean it up and we'll try to spin it up with the Docker Compose. Okay, so let's go ahead. Uh,
So is that IP address which you're using 192.168, is it same as
uh,
localhost?
no. So what happened is, see, this is a Windows VM, right? Okay.
Hmm.
I think I showed like there is a mini PC I have in my local like a different server. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, every time I'm trying, it's proper Linux mission hardware, proper Linux hardware mission. Otherwise, I might need to use a VM, local VM and all. So for me, it was a bit easy to go that way.
Okay.
Yeah. So till now, any questions you have? I just went through whatever we did last week. So any questions you have, guys? Okay, we'll take it as no then. So what we are doing with the Docker Compose is it will make your life easier. So every time we are spinning up a very long commands here, right? And to manage it, it's became little tricky. So that's the purpose the Docker Compose came up, and we can just write out the configuration what we are looking for, and with the Docker Compose we can spin it up easily. Okay, and let me. I think the volume also needs to be removed. Okay, so I have my file here already, Docker Compose. Okay, so Docker Compose. Yeah, so here we can provide a file with -f. Otherwise, we can just say -up -d. Okay, so what we'll do, Docker Compose up -d. So it said like the image for the service backend was built because it did not already exist. To rebuild this image, you must use Docker Compose build or Docker Compose up-build. Okay. So if the build already exists, right? So it's better to use this option. So what I'll do is Docker Compose down. Okay. And Docker Compose up-d. Yeah. So it's spinning up the images from the scratch, and then it's spinning up the containers. Okay. So how we can see it, Docker PS, grep for what I'm searching for, backend, frontend, Mongo. Yeah. So am I Mongo spin up backend and frontend, and let me see if I gave any dependency. Okay. See, this is the order we gave. We told like, hey, my services are these are the services. Okay. So the first service is MongoDB, second is backend, and third is frontend. And we also specified the order. Okay. So once the MongoDB is built, so in case if it's tried to build backend, it says like you're depending on the MongoDB. So first build this service. Okay. And this we mentioned we are depending on the backend program. So you try to build the Docker backend Docker first. So yeah, that's about it with the Docker Compose. So here we need to see look for authentications, right? So what happening here is like we gave a single string as in environment as a single string in the MongoDB. Okay, let's assume we want to provide something like something like MySQL related user ID credentials and all. So we need to check how we can provide in the backend YAML file or in the Docker run commands. Okay, so let's do a cleanup. So with the Docker Compose, the cleanup is very really easy. So like yeah, if we give Docker Compose down, it will clean up the image. I think it will clean up the containers and then the networks, and if there is any volumes also. Okay, volume. Yeah, I think yeah, the volume also got cleaned up. Okay, so let's check the other one. Yeah, we have a Flask MySQL. Okay, so in the Flask MySQL, what we are doing is um, here we are connecting to a DB, okay, with these credentials, and it is a Flask. Okay, it's altogether a different application. I was thinking, yep, let me spin up easy. So what happening here is, here we have a Flask being built, but MySQL is being built outside. Okay, so what do we want to do is we want to spin up the MySQL also here and create some dummy table or a schema, okay, when it's pinned up, so that your Flask can interact with it. Okay, so we will take MySQL. Let's Yeah, I'll take help of ChatGPT or I can spin up with my own. So let's see. To log in. Okay. Uh, Create a MySQL container to log in. Also, need some basic schema so Flask can interact. Okay. So now here comes the actual topic I wanted to start. Okay. So let's see what it's gonna give, and we will see how our app is trying to get the fields. Okay. See. Yeah. So what we are saying is, see, you can spin up a MySQL container, but what I told, I want to create a user ID and password here. Okay, inside it. and I also want to set up the schema here. Okay, so if you see this command, so we are providing these inputs. Okay, docker run -e. Okay, with this thing. Okay, let's go ahead and execute it. What's going to happen? Okay, so here comes the part. So when we are spinning up a MySQL Docker DB, okay, so we are sending passing some arguments. Okay, like this is my user password, this is my host name, or this is my user ID, and root password should be this one and all. So the interesting part is how when the Docker is building or when the Docker is running these things, so how it's gonna take all these inputs and make sure uh, to when the container is ready to make sure to pass these arguments. Okay, so it said like there is already one MySQL running. Okay, systemctl stop MySQL d. Let's see, disable. Yeah, let's run it again. Okay. Okay, so we have our MySQL got ready. Okay, let's go ahead and check the name, right? Yeah, let's go ahead and check the content. Okay, the Docker has been ready, unable to load, blah blah blah. Okay, now we can check whether if we can log into the container or not. Okay, so what we can do, Docker exec. So if any one of you people don't know this command, okay, so Docker exec is the command will help you to log in into a Docker, or you can run some commands inside. Okay, so this one, let me. Last. Okay. Should be this way. Yes, boss. So what we are doing with the Docker exec, we'll log into the container and check and create a table. Okay. So it's not completely automated, but yeah, let's see what we can do. So Docker ps grep. Okay. Docker exec -it, and okay, we can try /bin/bash. Yeah, we are inside, and now we are supposed to log into MySQL. So -u. We have a root. We have a same password we provided, and our database name is this Docker DB. Okay, FNP, and this is strong password 123. Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll create a table here. So the table has this thing. We have a table name, and all the integers, whatever we provided based on this, and we'll do a commit to save the transaction. Select star from BMI records. Okay, so we have our DB ready. Let's connect the application to here, and we'll try to spin up the. Let's try connecting our application here, and let's see what's happening. CD Flask. And if I see my settings, all my settings were pointed towards this. Okay, the only problem is the credentials are not secrets, like as in we are exposing the credentials. So we need to find a way. I'll come to that step. So it said the host is matching, the user is matching, and the password is also matching. I didn't try it with this user, but let's try with that also. Okay, MySQL -u Docker user -p password. Yeah, that user is working. So let's try to spin up our Flask container. Yeah, so Docker build -t BMI app. In settings, and it's doing the pip install, and now we'll see if we spin up our app. Okay, so Docker run -d app. So we'll give our port number, what port we are running, port 5000. See, sorry, BMI. So we have our app running, and let's see Docker logs. Okay, I think I should have given a name properly, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and check port 5000. Okay, so yeah, so this is our BMI app. There is some records, dummy records we inserted. Let's do Pete and somewhere 50. Yeah, so all our records got inserted. Now to make it secure, so here when we are spinning up, right? So yeah, here when we are spinning up, we are exposing the credentials inside the app file. Okay. So ideally, what it's supposed to do, we are supposed to get that credentials from the env file. Okay. I'll come to that part later. So how to secure your credentials. So we'll focus on this part where yeah. So question to the folks here. So whoever is like, I think we got two people here. So question to the folks. So any idea how does the Docker handles this part? How does Docker accept these variables? Hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Yeah, no problem. So that's what we're going to discuss about. Okay, so how Docker handles this. So that all things comes under your image building part. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take this image, MySQL 8.0. Okay, let's go to MySQL image, Docker, and we can go to this one, and this is the Docker, and yeah, here it is the official MySQL repo. Okay, so if I let's do a local clone. Yeah. Oh, see. So here we're gonna learn how to build a Docker image file properly. Okay. So we are going into 8.0. That's the image we got. Okay. So if you go inside, we have a Debian and Oracle. So let's go with the Debian. So what exactly they are doing? Let's do step by step. So they're taking the base image as bookworm slim. Okay, so this is something like we have a Alpine, right? So something similar. We have a bookworm edition of Debian. Okay, where it's kind of less packaged OS with removing all the main essentials things. We just keep the OS related things, whatever is required. Okay, and so yeah, and we are adding a user called MySQL user. Okay, and then we are installing GNU and we are cleaning up APT. Okay, let's write it step by step. Yeah. So the first part is we took a bookworm image, Debian. Okay. The second part, we created a user. Let's see. Let's write it. MySQL user and directory shell. Right. So let's see what shell he provided. Okay. So no, I think this will come itself with the shell. Okay. And they're also creating a group called MySQL. So okay. And there is yeah, and we are installing no requirements and we are installing GNU PG. Okay. So what is this? We'll get to know. So ideally, when you want to install any tool, any software, right? You want to install any software here. You have a box VM, right? So you want to install a software. There are two ways. One, you can get from a package. Two, you can command from the source. Okay. So what do you mean by package? As an installer package. So what do you mean by package is package can be any type. Okay. Let's see something like, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. We have for installers Windows, we have the setup.exe. Okay. And we have MySQL, I think MS something, forgot. So we have MySQL installs, sorry, Microsoft installs. Packages. We have RPM packages for CentOS and Red Hat. Okay. And we have something called RPM and yum, right? And we have APT packages for your Debian and Ubuntu. Okay. And there can be some custom formats. Sometimes there would be shell scripts. And so basically, this is what package meant. Okay. It can be of any type where, or sometimes it can be, I think .py also comes up. .py. or dot sh, but these are not standard packages, but let's go with this one. So I think DMG for Mac, right? And all these packages, as we know, when we went to Linux operating system, right? So we told that these packages can be like two types. One would be x86 and another x86 for 32, and another would be x64. It could be for R and AMD. So that's the package types. So when we want to install a program, so this is the first thing we'll do. We'll download the package and all. So this is for the beginners. So what the advanced part is, like, we can do something like, if we get a source, we can build the package ourselves. Okay. From the source, what we do? We build the package and then we install it ourselves. Okay. This is where in the building part, you will get something like, if you heard of CMake or GNU PG, right? So all that things here it will come. Okay. Something like CMake. Okay. There are many more builders, but CMake is a famous one. Okay. So you need to have a make file. From there, this part will come, but I'm not much expert at that part, but we know how to use it. Like, we just run the CMake command. Yeah. And let me show you something like, we'll take one example as Prometheus. Okay. GitHub. Yeah. If you see the releases, okay. And if you see the packages, right? So you see ARM64 package, Darwin, FreeBSD, Linux. And if you see, there is a source code. Okay. And if you open the source code, yeah. So if you open the source code, where do you see the program is? See, it's more of a Go build. Okay. See, its type of the source code was written in Go, and also they provided a makefile. You see, this is the one. So makefile will have some basic instructions required for building it. Yeah, this is the part. So that's about the basics. So when we are installing any software, the two ways are, either we get a package or we get a source. So here what we are doing in the MySQL part, so we are removing the APT, okay, and then we are installing GNU PG. So what we are doing here, we are installing CA certificates and wget. So wget is used for downloading anything, okay, from online if you want to download. So we'll use wget. And see, all these things can be avoided if we can go ahead and do something like this. Okay. See, all these things can be avoided. Just take from Ubuntu or from Bookworm. Okay. Just do run. Okay. What is it? apt install -y MySQL. But our goal is to reduce the image version. Okay. So let's go back. That's the reason we are trying to build and get it rid of the part. Okay. So they're removing the cleaning the packages and depackage arc. Okay. So what we are doing here is we are trying to get the architecture. Okay. What is the type of architecture of the VM it exists. Okay. So let's go ahead and run this command. So if you see, yeah, it says the package is ARM64. So based on the package, so they're trying to download the right version. Okay. GitHub, follow link. What is it? I don't know how it is working. Okay, wait. download. Yeah. This is a code for Gosu, Go based staged set group exec. Oh, this is a sudo var actually. So instead of using sudo and all, they are using a Gosu package, which will make the things easy. Okay. And they're building the temp file. They're cleaning up the some stuff. Auto remove. So they're doing the sudo part. Okay. Now here, if you see, they're creating a Docker entry point. They are creating a folder. Okay. Docker entry point folder. And then they're installing all the packages. So which is OpenSSL, Perl, all the required packages. Okay. And so here what they're doing, they're setting up the GPG keys. Yeah, I think they're going with this one. So they're setting up the GPG keys. I think these are all things are related for when you spin up the MySQL, right? So these things are related required things. So what exactly they are doing here? They are downloading the MySQL repo list. Okay, so if you go here in your VM, cat. Okay, I think it's inside your MySQL. Okay, I think they deleted it. Like once it is done, they are trying to clean it up. Okay, and here it is. So they're checking the MySQL version where it is coming from. It's all related things: MySQL client, MySQL server core, and they're also creating. Okay, they're cleaning up the installer files and they're setting up the MySQL folder, which is required. And the installation folder is this one, varlib MySQL, and the volume is this. This is what we provide as a input. So if you see, oh, crazy man, I didn't provide a volume, but so yeah, here we are supposed to provide a volume. Okay, yeah, I'll create a volume and provide. So -v MySQL varlib. Okay. And one other thing, I think, see, they're trying to copy the files, config from the config, they're trying to copy the files, and then they're doing the entrypoint.sh, and then they're running the .sh file. Okay. So let's do this part. See, if you remember the Docker basics, so we told one thing. So there is something called command and entry point. Command is the one which will be constant. The entry point is the one which will run when the Docker is running. Okay. So that will be like, okay. So there are two phases, image. So Dockerfile, image. So this is called building process. Okay. Docker build. Okay. Yeah. And from the image, it's running to container. Right. So this is Docker run. Okay. So whatever the CMD you told, command point, so those stuff will get executed here before building the image. And whatever the entry point you told, this will run at the runtime, as in when the Docker is container is being run. Okay. So that is what it's happening here. So we have a Docker CNF. We can set up the host name. These are all basic settings. Yeah, this is a custom CNF they built. Okay. So which is the Docker folder and the Docker socket file. If you know databases, you will be like familiar with this. but let's assume these are all basic stuff. Okay. Yeah. Here it is. So what they are doing, the entry point shell script. Okay. Let's come back from the top. Yeah. Come back from here. We have a main file. Yeah. If a command starts with an option, prepend MySQL D. Okay. If someone gave any command, just put MySQL D. So this is an entry point script from MySQL. Okay. It's going to check if the config has been provided, and it will check if there is any environment variables, and it will do the DB directories. Okay. So this is the first step. Yeah. So MySQL D failed while attempting background checks. Check the config file. Okay. So that's one step. This is basically a shell script. Okay. And this is the second part. Docker setup env. Let's see. So here it is. We are providing whatever the usernames and all we are providing, right? Env, we do pass it as, see, there are two things called args and envs. Okay. Arguments. Yeah. Arguments called args. Okay. So the build time arguments, let's say. And the runtime envs, environment variables. Okay. So where do we see that? So in the when we are spinning up the thing, right? Like when we are spinning up the MySQL, so we provided -e, right? That's the env we are providing. So env, this is the option we are saying like, hey, this should be the one. So what it exactly doing? It's taking the environment variables, whatever we provided, and it also creating that file envs. Yeah. So based on the credentials and all other things we provided, the which is the username, which should be the password and all. So it's creating all those settings here. Okay. And then Docker process equal. So execute SQL script. So what it's doing is, so we can create a schema here. Okay. Whatever we have the .sql, the existing one, we can create a schema, export the database as a dump. We'll create a schema. Why do we need to create a schema? Like we had a manual option, like we created the password and like we entered into the DB, we created a table. So instead of that, what we can do, we can convert everything into a schema, and then we can provide it to this one. This entry point, when it is spinning up a container, it will process this schema. What it's doing, yes, this is the one, extra file args. So yeah, it's trying to execute that schema inside the container. And this is the Docker DB. We are setting up the time zone. It's entering the root password, whatever you provided. So it's trying to spin up a root password for that. And yeah, you mentioned, hey, I want a custom user and password. So that also will be created here. And Docker process SQL. Yeah, it's spinning up the SQL commands. Yes, this is a custom database. Let's say instead of a local database, I want to spin up a custom database as I told, something like Docker DB and all. So we can provide in the envs, this will get processed here. And this is a pass file. Mm. Yeah, I think it's taking the file, the details from the file, I think. Okay. Expire root user. Okay. So this one, it's marking the first root user as expired, so it cannot be used. Okay. Yeah, that's it, man. So that is about it. So what we'll do, we will convert our database into a dump. Okay. XCC. Let me convert the database to a dump SQL to schema as a Docker along with volume. Yeah. So we'll use these settings. Execute fnd, fnd MySQL dump. Okay. So hyphen u root hyphen v and schema dot SQL. Let me see if it is happened. FNP Docker DB. Yeah, we need to provide the DB credentials. Okay. A new Docker user, Docker D, Docker DB dump. Okay, let me check. Yeah, access denied. Denied for root to user local. Okay. So sorry. Docker user. Yeah, let's try the same command. Direct one. Yes, sir. So we got the schema. So what we'll do, we'll clean up the MySQL container. Okay. So Docker ps MySQL. Okay. Docker rm MySQL underscore Docker DB. So we'll spin up the same MySQL along with a schema this time and also volume. Okay. Yeah. So this is the command. Yeah, let me build it in here. So let me create a volume from the earlier command we have. All right. So we have, yeah. And also how are we passing it? So volume and yeah, var lib MySQL. So yeah, these are the details. And also we want to pass a SQL file. So let's check. We can check in the GitHub itself if you want. This is the root password dump. Did they get a schema input here anywhere? No. Yeah, so this is a schema file. We'll put it here. Yeah, Docker demi schema.sql. So here let's name our file as schema.sql. Okay. So let's remove this Docker. Okay, mkdir mysql move Docker into mysql into schema.sql. Okay, let's run our build command. I mean run command, Docker run command. So I think we can give the name. Yeah, we already gave the name. Okay, it just said it did ran. Let's check the logs. So yeah. Mhm. Yeah, my bad. So Docker image ls for MySQL. Yeah, let's run it again. Sir, so if you see the entry point script got executed, switching to dedicated user MySQL, and cache is deprecated, and yeah, location MySQL is accessible to all users. Okay. Now let's see if our schema is there or not. Okay. So I'm gonna run Docker exec. Okay. Just yeah, this is the one. So Docker exec MySQL db /bin slash bash. Okay. So MySQL -u root and p password 123. Show databases. Okay. We have Docker DB. Use Docker DB. Show tables. Okay. I think there is some issue. The input file didn't got processed properly. So I'll take a look. Yeah. Meanwhile, I think we got 2 more minutes time. I'll show the um, Node.js and Nginx. Okay. So that way we can cover the image process. Image and we got Docker Node.js image. Yeah. So we have mainline, entry point, Debian, and we'll open the entry point here. So Dockerfile. Yeah. So what they are doing for Nginx is, so here they are maintaining the envs. As I mentioned, the local, these are all built-in arguments as in envs, and they're deciding which version is supposed to go. And here they are creating all the required users and all credentials. Okay. Uh, these are all build parameters, whatever is needed. And let's check where is the Nginx. Okay. Mm, no recommends Nginx packages. Yeah, I think so. These are all the Nginx packages. So they define based on the parameters. So this is what it's doing. And the more important thing is the shell scripts it's getting executed. So those shell scripts, and we have the port 80, and this is the Nginx command to spin up the process. Okay. So we have Nginx debug. Yeah, we have the IPv6 configuration. This is the this is the entry point log, and this is the worker process. Customize your workers, Nginx workers. Like, do you want how many folks, 3 folks or 4 folks, and all? So you don't need to know all those things, but the main part you need to know is this one: entry point shell script. Okay, so there is an entry point shell script which you can copy, and you can execute the commands when you're doing a running a container. And let's go for Node.js also. Yeah. Uh, Here it is. They're getting the Node version here. Node packages. Yeah. Let's check this file once. Okay, you're almost done. Yeah. So this is architecture. They're checking. They're doing the GNU conf. Okay. See, there is no installation here. Okay. If you see, they're getting the packages, the Node.js packages. Okay. From this particular location, and then grep GM. Yeah, they're doing the gcrypt. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, basically they're copying, like they're extracting all the packages, the Node.js packages, and they're copying to the particular location. Okay. So as I told, the option one is you get the package and do a install as apt install. Option two is you get the package and you just copy paste it, or you build the package yourself and you copy paste it. So however works for you. Okay. And yeah, this is pre-existing GPG directory. I think, yeah, this is the entry point shell script, right? Okay, one second. Yeah, this is the entry point shell script, like just for the, okay, this is for the node command at the rate command. Okay. So yeah, that's all for now. It's all about like we are exploring just the how the Docker image has been built and how it is accepting the parameters. Okay. Yeah. So far, any questions here? No, you don't need to write whole code. You just need to know, okay, this is for understanding, okay, how a Docker image is being built. Sometimes you might need to, in an enterprise solution, right? Sometimes you might need to build a Docker image from the scratch. Okay. So it's better to know the process behind it, right? Like how it is written from the scratch. So that's about it. Yeah. Any questions?
No, I meant the app.py, the Python files for Flask and everything. This code part. Do I need to
Uh,
write everything?
that's the developer's pain, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't cover this one, hiding the credentials part, but see, you need to know this one, the Docker file.
Okay.
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 See, here you are just copying the content from one place to another, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like you need to know this one, Docker file, how to write it. So this one, it's not mandatory. So
Okay.
if if the developers are already giving it, so the Docker file will do the same, whatever it is. But
So
if you are yeah, go ahead, please.
So, in the interviews, if they ask us to have knowledge on Python, Java, and Go, does that mean we should also be writing this whole code?
Mm,
That
okay,
the
it
question
depends.
I have.
It Okay, it depends on the requirement of interview. Okay, it's if the interview says like, okay, you need to know how to you need to know DSCL level knowledge of Java. Okay, like
Mm-hmm.
the coding part and all. That's one thing. And second thing is, if they ask me, right, hey, why don't you write a sample Docker file? Like I used to ask, like, you just write a simple Docker file. You don't need to do anything. Just write, like, whatever you remember, you just write. Okay. So the most people will know, okay, there is a from, there is a work directory, there is a copy, and I think add also the port and this
CMD
and app,
entrypoints.
yeah, and app.py, we will know, okay, like we can just write like, okay, print hello world. That's fine, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But if they ask like, hey, you need to know in depth, like something like, okay, see, it's good to know how a web application works. Like I'll know that, okay, this is a slash entry. Okay. Somewhere if you go to MERN, go to backend. Okay. Yeah, this is a slash user centric, right?
Yeah.
So this whole part comes in the system design part. Okay, as in like, see, I will not expect a basic level user to know all these things. Okay, but if someone is a senior engineer, or if he knows system engineering and all, so he should know, okay, where the API call is going. So it's a shared responsibility, right? Like the DevOps is a shared responsibility. Okay. So you might say like, okay, this call is failing at this particular thing. How will you know? You'll know from the logs, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So the developers part is where they wrote the logic. They need to know, okay, how does this work and where it went wrong, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions about, hey, Suprit, so any questions about that part, the MySQL variables, the entry points and all?
Yeah, I mean the script part I didn't understand, but I got the basic idea that the Docker entry point shell script runs when we actually run the
Yeah, that's
container.
part.
Yeah.
Script is nothing, man. Script is it's a basic shell script. You don't need to worry much. Okay. See, where is it? Config entry, right? So it's loading the environment variables. Okay, we will look into it because environment variables is an important one. Like how will you pass the credentials, right?
Yeah.
So it's loading the environment variables. Okay, first part. Once it's loaded the envs, okay, it's trying to access it. Here it is. MySQL get data directory, got config. Yeah, so it's trying to extract the environment variables from this. Okay, let's see. Take a user password. Okay. So this is what it's doing. It's okay. Let me show you simply. Okay, extract environment variables. Right. Next, the second part is you need to construct a query, right? So what you got a username to create. You got a password to create database. Okay. Additional user, non-root user. Okay. So you will keep everything inside a this one. Okay. Let's go back. Send backwards. Okay. Now, how will you do it inside? Once the database is created, how will you do all those things? So for that, you have a MySQL query, right? So the MySQL query is create database. Okay. Whatever. Docker DB or student DB, right? The second command is I want to create a username and password. Okay, this is a MySQL query. It will run on the MySQL terminal. Okay, so the second one is MySQL create user with identified by, right? The username is this Docker user blah 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 something. Let's say C1, and the password is right. So if you go to check MySQL create user, yeah, this is what, right? MySQL create user at the rate hostname. Okay, and there are also grant privileges. So this is option 2, which I didn't cover, but it's happening inside the shell script. Okay. So if you see at that perspective, see, it's running this one. Create user, that's one command. Grant all the privileges. Okay, against the database MySQL. That's it, man.
So this Docker process SQL, is it a function in this script only? Or is it a
Okay,
command?
so yeah, let's see.
Like I don't know about shell scripts, so
No, that's fine. Like no one is experts on shell script because we work on all other things, right? So see,
okay.
yeah, this is the Docker process SQL. So what it does is you give a parameters, it will run a Docker query basically. Okay, that's what it's doing, internal Docker process.
Okay.
So every command will go as a query and will get executed. Too simple.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, what it's doing a prep work. Okay. Here all the prep work is getting done in the entry point.
Yeah, got it.
Yes, sir. Any questions? Any other questions here?
So how do we access these environment variables in the application code, like in the logic?
Okay. Even in the application code also, you will access through envs, environment variables. Okay. And for Docker, there is a secrets. Okay. For K8s also, there is a secrets.
So
So
like for
multiple ways
example,
you can.
the credentials which you used, right, while running the
This is,
container.
as I told, this is not secure way to do it. Okay. So we just throwed everything inside we just throwed everything inside the application, hard coded it, right? So the right way to do it is env Docker, and we have that one, right? Terraform Vault, HashiCorp Vault. Okay. Or there is another way to do it. You do have AWS secrets, right? Or Google Secrets Manager. Okay. AWS parameter store, I guess it is. So what you can do, instead of storing here, you can store in your cloud secrets repository and you can access it from there.
Okay. So what if our Flask application itself has some variables which we want while spinning up that container, Flask container?
Right. So that's what, right? Like if you see this, yeah, here this is fine. Okay. In the app.py, when the application is spinning up, right? So it needs a credentials. So you will pass it through secrets. Okay. So we'll get through that. And also here also we can provide the secrets. Okay. Or variables, right? So all these things we can provide here in the Docker Compose. So in K8s, it will change slightly. So all these parts will be taken care before your application is getting ready and served to your users.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions, like up to whatever we covered here? Any other questions?
No, I don't think I have any other questions.
Yeah. Satya, you have any questions?
No, Datto.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for staying here for this much long time in the weekend. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.